My name is Piotr Barczak. I work for the European Environmental Bureau as a waste policy officer.
What type of tasks does your bureau carry out? How many organizations does it represent? What type of relationship does it have with the European Commission?
European Environmental Bureau is the largest European umbrella organization for NGOs, environmental NGOs. We have over 140 members that we work with, we represent them, but we work with many more local activists around Europe. We've been representing European citizens in their environmental struggles for already 40 years. Representing them means we consult the European institutions, the European Parliament, European Commission, in environmental policies. We show what we need, what the citizens need, what they are afraid of, and we show best examples, and we produce reports, papers, articles, showing the struggles of communities around Europe in their environmental struggles.
What are the biggest challenges regarding waste treatment developments in the European Union?
The big challenge today for Europe in waste management is that Europe is one of the most developed continents in the world. We consume a lot, but it means we also waste a lot. We waste a lot of products, packaging, and we need to tackle this. And indeed, the problem is rising. Even if we want to be at the forefront of environmental protection, we still consume quite a lot. That's why the biggest challenge in waste management today is prevention. We need to prevent the generation of waste. Later on, we need to follow the waste management hierarchy. The second priority after prevention is reuse of materials, reuse of products, and then recycling. The last option is landfill and incineration, which are simply disposal. Incineration and landfill are the elements of the linear economy, and it's not the circular economy that we are all talking about today at the European Union.
Can you explain to us what a circular economy consists of and how it affects waste treatment?
For me, circular economy has four main principles. First, when we think about those circles must be long. They must be long because the products have to last a long time. They have to live long. And if finally they got broken, they have to be repairable so that they have a second life. Secondly, those circles have to be small or thin as you want, minimum. It means that we don't need any superfluous waste. We don't need waste that is maybe perfectly recyclable. Let's give an example of bio-waste or plastic bags. It is perfectly recyclable, compostable, but we don't need a surplus of that. So in the first place, we need to keep the minimum of waste. The best waste is zero waste. The third principle is that those circles should be local. It is because we need to look at the territorial hierarchy. Circular economy must to start at home. We produce waste with our hands. We also need to sort it with our own hands. We need to have a separate waste collection at source. It also means that waste keeps its value in the local community, in the place where it's produced. The local community should also have the possibility to use this waste, to get the most value of it. Because waste brings value, not only material, economic value, but also a value of innovation, a value of new incentives to prevent this waste. I said waste is value, but in the same time, waste shows a problem. Waste is a mistake of the system. But in some situations, we cannot avoid waste. And fourth principle of circular economy is that those circles must be clean. We should not recycle again materials that are toxic, even if, again, they are perfectly recyclable. Let's take the example of PVC. It is recyclable, but it doesn't mean we should recycle it. Something that is toxic, that endanger our health, environment, or damage recycling, high-quality recycling, should not be put in the loop again.
Do you think that states are doing enough to reach the recycling targets set by the European Union?
I would say no. what I've seen already from my experience is that governments are slowing down actually the circular economy. These are the industries that want to keep up and to bring circular economy into practice. But the governments are slowing down. They lack of legislation and they lack of responsibility. They lack of their incentive. Their crucial role of legislator. It is important that the member states as a whole take action, not only local communities. Yes, we have examples of local communities in Europe, like in North Italy, in Basque Country, in Slovenia even, in France, in Flanders as well. We have local communities that are doing good, but member states as a whole are still not ambitious enough.
A few weeks ago, you participated in the conference on waste organized by IOBE in Bilbao, where you referred to the waste management carried out in Gipuzkoa. What was the content of your message with respect to this province?
So during that conference, I brought examples from around Europe of the communities, local communities that are bringing good practices in front, and they are achieving quite high recycling targets, separate collection targets, reuse targets, and they also managed to prevent waste generation first of all. One of those communities is the Gipuzkoa region in Basque Country. There are also regions in Catalan, in Catalonia, like Argentona. There are also municipalities in north of Italy, Contarina and Campanori. There is also a small community in eastern countries, in the new EU, in Slovenia. It's called Rinka. But one of the most striking examples from those is in Gipuzkoa, where the local community managed to not only to raise awareness about waste, to bring down the waste generation in total of residual waste, but they also managed to oppose a project of an incinerator of waste. They understood that waste incinerator is the obsolete technology, is not only polluting our air, but most of all is taking the resources away. By incinerating waste, we are not only burning resources, but we are also burning and losing human creativity. We are losing money, and we are losing new solutions that are better, cheaper, and most effective for economy, for jobs, and for the environment. So in Gipuzkoa, they managed to oppose this big incinerator, even if the contract was already signed. They had to pay some big amount because the contract was not done, but the benefits they will gain from better recycling, better reuse and prevention are much bigger than that. So they showed a precedence for other communities around Europe that are facing the problem of incinerator.
Do you think that the waste management policy in Gipuzkoa should be a reference to the other communities?
Many countries in Europe are already having overcapacity of waste incineration, but the eastern countries that are still not having them incineration, they are now facing the problem of building a new one. And politicians, citizens often think that it is good to burn waste, but we see already in other countries and in Gipuzkoa that this is not the best solution, and we should really be more ambitious and think about prevention first, reuse and recycling. Energy recovered through incineration is only a small part that we can recover. It is not at all even a fraction of the energy that is embedded in the products, where this energy was needed to produce the product, to grow the plant, to transport it. The energy from burning is almost nothing. That's why incineration is a bad idea.
Do you think that incineration is necessary or at least inevitable for waste treatment?
I would say we have already an overcapacity of waste incineration. So we have to learn a lesson from this, and we should not build any new incineration. Let's start to close incinerators that we have so far. And And then let's look at the transition period from now, where we still produce a lot of non-recyclable and not compostable waste, but slowly phase down these products, phase out and redesign products that are not recyclable and not compostable. We need to look at each of those not recyclable waste, look at it and redesign it.
Does incineration bring about the disappearance of landfills?
Some people argue that incineration is getting rid of waste and getting rid of landfills. In fact, it is a big lie, because it is not often thought through that incineration is actually changing something that is basically non-toxic into something that is toxic. I mean toxic ashes, bottom ashes and fly ashes that are very toxic, and they affect human health through respiratory ways. And this is a problem. Statistics say that between 20 and 30% of the weight of waste put into the incinerator leaves the incinerator. So from 1 ton of waste put into the incinerator, we have 200, 300 kilograms of ashes. And those ashes are very often toxic. So what is the sustainable development here? Instead of looking into solutions that we will give to next generations that will bring clean air and clean soils, we are bringing them 20% of toxic ashes, and they will have to deal with that. Those ashes have to be stored where? Of course in landfills, special landfills, closed landfills, and very expensive to manage. So nobody can tell me that incineration is reducing landfills. What's more, some politicians say that incineration is compatible with recycling. Not at all. We see from recent statistics released of waste management in Europe from the year 2013, we see that example of Estonia. Estonia that in 2011 was recycling 40% and composting 40% of its waste. In 2012, they managed to build an incinerator. And this changed totally their statistics. We see that in 2012 already, their recycling and composting rates combined were only 20%. We see in this case that building an incinerator decreased the recycling by 50%. So where is the compatibility?